Wife had been flirting with her coworker. She said she would stop, but it just happened again. Is there any future in this relationship? My wife and I have been married for slightly more than 3 years now. Last Christmas, I found she had been having a long conversation with a coworker of hers, in which they talked about having had time multiple times and that they couldn't wait for the next one. The guy said he was going to book a hotel near their office right after Christmas. In this conversation, when he said he was looking forward to seeing my wife, she would reply with things like, "I'm looking forward to much more than just seeing you," etc. You get the idea. Overly flirty and time. When I confronted my wife, she denied the conversation existed. After deleting it, she showed me her phone to prove it didn't exist. But I had taken a few pictures. She then said it was all virtual and that they never did anything physical. To prove she was right, she messaged her coworker in front of me asking if he had booked the hotel. He replied not yet. She then asked if he was really expecting them to meet, to which he replied negatively. She promised they would never talk again and I agreed, simply because I love her a lot and wanted to trust her, but in my mind I wasn't completely sure she had been honest. For a few weeks, I must admit I checked her phones a few too many times, so she changed her password, which I was fine with because I was probably being too paranoid. This week, I picked her phone up because I needed a code that had been sent to her phone number. I didn't even need to unlock the screen to get it. To my surprise, under the message with the code there were other messages from the same guy. One of them was an audio, the second one was a shirtless photo of himself in front of a mirror, and the third one said sweaty and a few emojis with the tongue. I confronted her since she had promised they wouldn't talk ever again, and she said he just wanted to show her he's going to the gym to show progress. But that the rest of the times they talk it's just about work, and that this is just a coincidence. I asked her to show me the rest of their messages, but she said she had mistakenly deleted their conversation history. My wife says she's going to change this time and that I never really forgave her and that's why she kept talking to the guy. She says this time she's really going to stop, but I have a hard time believing it. Or even if she does stop, I fear when things don't go so well between us she'll do it again. I really love her but can't keep living like this. Is there any situation in which this can work? What would you do? Update: you were right. I ignored every single one of your comments and eventually caught my wife with the other man. This is a tough pill to swallow, and I can't say I hadn't been warned. Many folks asked me to follow up with an update, so here it is, fresh from the oven. After reading every single comment of the Reddit post, my brain just couldn't overcome the catastrophe and the collapse of the world I had built for me, in which my wife is my love, my best friend and partner, as well as the person I admire the most. She was entirely perfect, and made me happy for many years. I thought no couple in the world could have what we had. We were both very happy for a long time. We were both attractive, we were both inherently good, had big hearts and were individually wildly successful in our careers. After the Reddit post, I moved to an Airbnb and eventually with family to think things through. It was a terrible time, but a psychologist helped me recover from a terrible mental state. It coincided with the pandemic hitting very hard in my city. I caught the virus, which didn't help. During this time, we kept talking and my wife was very sorry and continued saying they hadn't met. I knew it wasn't true but was willing to forgive the woman of my dreams, who continued being in the highest altar of my universe. Fast forward last Saturday morning, I went back to our place, ready to forgive her and talk things through in the most mature way possible. And well, there she was, but I was the one who received the biggest surprise, to say the least. The guy was in my house naked, and so was my wife. The guy from the messages, the guy from the pics. The one she said she didn't even like. I caught him hiding in my bathroom as my wife was putting her pajamas on. When I saw him hiding in my bathroom, he uttered, "Sorry dude." For a second I asked myself, is this where I KLL him? But I instantly replied, I got nothing against you, because the guy was just nailing this hot woman. Even if he was doing so in a house full of pictures of me. Pictures of our wedding and our families. Pictures of my dead father who would be so sad to see how the marriage he never witnessed was going to end. He has always been the reason I try to make the world a better place. He passed away 2 months before our wedding. I'm sorry. I still love her to death. but I understand enough is enough. Even if my world collapses, I hope I can build a new one without lies and in which I'm not just a blind believer under an altar of a fake God. Godspeed. Redditor's reactions story 2 after. Redditor 1, just make sure you don't take her back, cause she'll do it again. Redditor follow up, she'll do it again for the 4th time? Maybe more if you count how many times they have actually ducked. Redditor 2, God ducking speed man. Your wife will never be sorry for what she did. But she'll keep saying she's sorry dozens, probably hundreds of times to try and keep her word from crashing down. But you will be manipulated no more. Do not leave your marital home under any circumstance. Find a good lawyer and start filing for divorce. You will come out of this a better man. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Redditor 3, sorry you had to experience this in the most extreme way possible by literally walking in on them naked together. Great composure when almost any reaction would have been justified. Just take your time and take care of yourself for however long it takes. I can't imagine the pain you have. Redditor follow up, very sorry it happened, but it was literally going to take you walking in on them for her to admit it. What she's done is disgusting and unforgivable. She's been lying to you for how long? Time to end it, my friend. A long journey ahead, but we believe in you. You don't deserve to be disrespected like this. Story 2, me 36M married to my wife 36F 11 years, and I can't stop thinking about a girl I dated for 1 month 16 years ago. I have what I consider to be a good healthy relationship with my wife. For some reason though, I recently am unable to stop thinking about a girl I dated 16 years ago, for the entirety of a month. The relationship was normal for two 20-year-olds. We like to low-key hang out, and have lots of sex. The relationship ended abruptly one day. She and I hung out with a group of people on Saturday night, did our normal at-home thing, then got up Sunday and went to a friend's college graduation party. Then, as I remember it, she seemed super distant, and just up and left. That was the end of it. I remember at the time I took the breakup really hard. Called off work 3 days, got super drunk, cried to my friends. The other night I had a dream about her, and in the dream I kept calling her the one that got away. I know that isn't true in any sense of the word. We definitely both went completely different directions in life as far as I know. I don't really know much about her, as we completely stopped talking at the end of our relationship, and never stayed friends. Ever since that dream, I have been rehashing those 4 or 5 weeks, 16 years ago, over and over again in my mind. It's driving me nuts. I am not sure how to bring this up to my wife, or even if I should mention it. I've read a few self-help articles saying this all really points to me just never getting closure on the relationship. Any and all advice would be greatly appreciated. Update, me 36M married to my wife 36F 11 years, and I can't stop thinking about a girl I dated for 1 month 16 years ago. So I mentioned to my wife vaguely that I was having a bit of a midlife crisis and ruminating on my past a bit too much. That I miss how I was physically at my peak in college. She said she is also having a bit of a crisis, worried about long-term health and missing the shape she was in before kids. We made a commitment to each other to get into shape and have changed our eating habits and bought a treadmill. I have been working out daily and my rumination issues have really dwindled. We also planned a nice vacation, and a few get-togethers with friends in the next few months. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, that's a great update. I can promise you that the 1 month relationship would have never worked out, because it didn't. And how it ended suggests that it never had staying power. I hope that getting into shape helps you both. I think the pandemic also makes relationships tough because you're likely no longer getting out and doing the things that brought you together or simply having time apart and separate interests. At least that's been the case with my marriage. I think that would make it tempting to fantasize about some other reality that could have been, but really, it could have never been. Redditor follow up, the fantasy is what kills us. It never plays out like it does in our heads. I mean, I even ruin potential relationships before they happen because I fantasize about what it could be and then get disappointed. It's easy to get huge crushes on people because we fantasize about what they might be like. But then when we get to know the person we've been imagining things about, we realize it's all a lie and the lust crush fades away. I bet Op is fantasizing just like this about that girl, and in reality, They could have ended up having a terrible relationship or just platonic. Redditor 2, aw, that's great. Enjoy your fitness journey together and your vacation. Redditor 3, I learned a technique for getting stuff that keeps popping into your head to go away. It worked for me, and it helped my brother with something too. Step 1. Get a minimum of 15 minutes where you won't be interrupted. Sit down and start writing your thoughts on it down. Write it down with an actual pen and paper, not on a computer. Just write whatever comes to mind, but keep writing for 15 minutes. If you run out of things to write, just repeat yourself, it's fine. Step 2. Burn the paper. Literally burn it. Careful not to burn your house down. Step 3. Do this every day or every other day until you've done it at least 4 times. The psychologist that told me this technique explained that often when you have thoughts that keep coming back over and over, it's because instead of processing them to a conclusion, you're stuck in a mental loop that is self-reinforcing. By writing things down in an uninterrupted fashion, and in a method where you can be completely honest with yourself because you know no one will ever see it, you help yourself develop a mental path out of those thoughts. I've used this twice, and it's worked both times. Edit. Meant to add that personally, burning the paper felt cathartic too. Not sure if that actually is part of why it worked, but it felt good. Redditor follow-up. I love this. I always get so self-conscious when I'm trying to journal or work out my thoughts regarding something upsetting because I start to wonder who might read it someday. Even if that person is just future me, I feel like it makes me feel less free to just write how I'm actually feeling. Lighting anything on fire in my apartment makes me feel a little uncomfortable, but I'm sure there's a way to do it safely. Redditor 4, midlife crisis can be debilitating. Glad you guys are coming out stronger.